In this video, we're going to buy a car, and we're going to use a special financial function to see how much it will cost. So let's buy a car. That's a nice one. Let's see. If we're going to buy a car, how do you pay for it? Well, there are two ways. Number one is you could pay cash, and if you're very lucky, you might be able to do that. But most of us do something else. We get a loan. And when we get a loan, the bank or whoever loans it to us expects us to pay it back plus interest. And how much interest? Well, we have to calculate that. A simple interest formula is this, and that's pretty nice and easy to remember, but banks do not use simple interest. They use compound interest. Why do they do that? Well, they make a lot more money with compound interest than with simple interest. Now, how do you calculate compound interest? Well, there's some important financial formulas you should be aware of. To calculate the compound interest, you could basically do this, which is pretty scary formula there. And if you want to calculate your monthly payments based on compound interest, then you use this formula here. Another scary, even more scary than the other one. Now, fortunately, we don't have to worry about these formulas. Why? Because we have a special tool. We have Excel, the most powerful general purpose calculator tool known to mankind, and that will remember the formulas for us. We're going to use a special function called the PMT function or payment function. This calculates monthly payments for a loan using compound interest, and it's extremely useful when you're buying a car or a house. The function looks like this. Basically, you have three arguments. You have the interest rate, which you divide by 12, the number of years you multiply times 12, and the amount, which we usually indicate as a negative amount. The interest rate basically is maybe 5%, and years maybe 4. The amount could be 20,000, and we take that, put that into the formula, and you notice we divide the interest rate. The interest rates are usually indicated as yearly interest rates, but for this formula, we want the monthly interest rate, so we divide it by 12 to get that. We also, instead of the number of years, we want the number of months. So we multiply times 12 to get that. And then the amount we put is as a negative number, just so that the result will be a positive. And I'll explain that a little bit later. Our result here, for example, would be $460. We're going to create a payment calculator, very simple one, using a blank workbook. And then we'll use the PMT function to figure out what our payment's going to be. I'm going to open up Excel, go to a blank workbook, and zoom in so you see a little better. Okay, so I'll just fill in the cells. There we go. The principal is basically just another name for the amount of the loan. Interest rate, again, is going to be a yearly interest rate, which is the normal way we express interest rates. And term is going to be how long the loan is, usually in years. So we're going to just expand this out. Now, if I double click this column here, it's going to go too wide. So I'm going to bring it back in to about there so it looks nice. Okay, how much are we going to borrow? Well, let's think, let's say $30,000 for a car. Interest rate, let's say 4%. Term, again, that varies from about 3 to 5 years for a car loan. Let's go 4 years, see what happens. Okay, there it is. We have our data. Now we have to calculate our payment. We're going to use the PMT function. And there are two ways to do it. You could go up to the formulas tab and find in the financial group there, find the PMT function. Or in a more direct way, we could just click on the FX button, the insert function button right here, and then find it this way. We could just type in the word payment, P-A-Y-M-E-N-T, hit the go button, and there's a bunch of financial functions here, most of which I have no idea what they do. But if we scroll down, you can see there's the PMT function right there. If we click it, it says it calculates the payment for a loan based on constant payments and a constant interest rate. Now, constant interest rate is very important. Yeah, we'll talk more about that a little bit later, but most loans for cars are going to be a constant interest rate. So that's fine. We'll just click on the OK button, and we get this here. And I'm going to zoom in so you see it a little better. Now, the interest rate is right here, 4%. So we can just put that. You don't want to put the numbers into the boxes there. You want to put the cells that contain the numbers. So right here, I'm just going to click on this cell right here, puts it in as B4. Right? And you notice there are 5 boxes here. 3 of them are bold, which means those are required. The other 2 are optional, and we won't need those. Okay, the next one, hit the tab key to go to the next box, NPER. NPER is really just a cryptic, confusing way of saying the number of periods. And so we put that in there. Number of periods is closely related to the term, okay, which is the number of years. But again, it's the number of periods. Each period is a month. So we want to multiply that times 12. Multiply that times 12. And then the PV is that's the present value. That's the amount of money the bank is giving you today, which is the same thing as the principal of the loan. So we'll click on the cell here, put that in there as B3. And once we put that in here, we see we've got a payment here of minus 1415. Well, let's fix that. Let's make that a negative thing. Now, why is that a negative number? Basically because it shows that the money is flowing in a different direction. The bank gives you $30,000, which you in turn give to the car dealer. That's a positive thing for you. And you pay back $14.15 each month. That's a negative thing. Okay, now that number is way too high, but we'll fix that in a second. First of all, let's put a negative in there. Just put a little minus sign in front of that B, and that changes the result into a positive, which is easier. Now, it's still way too high. We did something wrong here. Remember, and it's very easy to make a mistake with this function, we want to divide the interest rate. This is the interest rate per period. We want the per period, but we have the interest rate per year. 4% is the interest rate per year. We want it per month. So we do what? We divide it by 12. Divide by 12. Okay, so when you use the PMT function and you get results that are way too high or ridiculous, remember, you divide the rate by 12, you multiply the number of years times 12. You divide by 12, multiply times 12. Okay, and now we get a much more reasonable number, $677. That's very good. Okay, and if we zoom out, we'll click OK, and there we go. Okay, now once we have the formula in place, we can do lots of things, lots of what-if analysis with this. Let's fix this number here to make it a little bit better here. We're going to click on the Home tab and just put it into the accounting format. Oh, we don't need those pennies. Let's get rid of that there. Okay, so 30,000, 4%, 4 years. Well, let's see, that's a little high. Maybe we can reduce that if we extend the term of the loan to 5 years. If we put 5 in there, yeah, that drops it down pretty good. And maybe we can get a lower interest rate. If we go here, change this 4% to a 3%, let's see what happens here. Drops it down a little bit. Okay, notice the interest rate for a loan of this short term doesn't have a big effect on it. Okay, drops it down a little bit, but not too much. And then we can go here. So we maybe want to get a little lower. We can go to a lower price car, say 20,000, and we bring it down quite a bit. Okay, so this is a very powerful formula. We can use it for a lot of different things. In fact, these are great for cars. What else can we buy with a loan? Well, a house, of course. And if we do a house, we could change this principal here. Of course, it's going to be much more. So we'll change this to, say, instead of 20,000, we'll go to 200,000. Okay, and 3%. That's still fairly good mortgage rate, so we'll keep that. Of course, the term is not going to be 5 years. It's going to be either 15 or 30 years, usually 30 years. So we'll put in 30 there. And let's see what happens there. That's pretty good, okay? And then you can change this depending on what your circumstances are to see how much you can afford here for different situations. Okay, so this is a nice calculator here. We can calculate many different things, anything we calculate. And again, I do suggest you get a constant interest rate, because if you have a variable interest rate, you can have big surprises. And we don't like surprises when it comes to money. For example, here, 3% is good, but let's say you get an adjustable rate interest rate, and an adjustable rate mortgage, and say you come in and it's only 2%, okay, 2% like so. Well, that's nice, 739. But let's say later on it jumps up to maybe 6%. It goes up quite a bit. Okay, so you want to be careful about that. You don't want surprises. Get a constant interest rate. Lock in a rate that is somewhat affordable. Yeah, and the first few years, it will be a little more expensive than getting a teaser, so-called teaser rate, but you'll be happy because, say, for example, you get the 3%. And that's fine. And you lock in at 3%, constant rate. Then later on, the rates for everyone else goes up to 4% or 5%. So that's okay. You're still paying 3%. You have no problems there. But if the interest rate goes down, say it goes down to 2%, no problem. You can then refinance and lock in the 2% value there. Let me see what 2% would do. Yeah, save about $100. So yeah, so you can always refinance at a lower rate, but keep a constant interest rate. It's a good thing to do. All right, let's save this. Click on the first cell, A1. Let's save our label here. Just going to select that and copy it. Control C, copy it, and then we'll save it. Click on File, Save As, Browse. There it is, and we'll just type our name. I'll type mine. Let's see if I can spell it right. Here we go. Space dash space, and then we'll paste in that number, the label there. Paste in the value. Control V. There we go. Real nice. Okay, we're going to put it into Documents. Click on the Save button. There it goes. Excellent. There. Okay, good. Now we'll just close this up, and we're finished. We have a nice little calculator tool anytime we're going to buy something real expensive. Now, the banks will always calculate the interest for you, but it's always a good idea to check it using the PMT function. Next, we're going to see how Word and Excel can work together using this powerful tool called Mail Merge.